Good evening to everybody. My name is Giorgio Micoli. I'm from the Italian NGO ARCI Chieti, and it is my pleasure to welcome all of you to this webinar. The title is Environmental Education, Planning, Implementation, and Practical Experiences. This webinar is a first step of a long-term educational path that will be realized by 6 European organizations coming from Italy, United Kingdom, Bulgaria, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Albania, and Montenegro, through an Erasmus Plus Youth in Action K-Action 1 project called NFEE, that is the almost acronym of non-formal environmental education to enhance youth inclusion and participation. Through this project, we all aim to realize an international non-formal educational path in order to use the tools of environmental education to promote the involvement, the inclusion, the active citizenship, as well as the personal growth of young people, especially those coming from disadvantaged conditions. This project plans to realize 4 webinars. This is the first one, 4 international meetings, a seminar in Italy, a study visit in UK, a training course in Italy, and the final youth exchange in Italy as well, involving around 90 persons between young people aged less than 30, but also youth workers, volunteers, educators, activists, and so on. At the end of the project, we will realize a publication where we will collect all the outcomes produced by all the activities foreseen by the project. This project is granted and supported by the Erasmus Plus program, as I said before, through the Agenzia Nazionale per I Giovani, that is the Italian national agency of the Erasmus Plus program Youth, and with the support and the local partnership of the Isituto Abruzzese per le Aree Protette. Speakers of this first webinar will be Maria Laura Pierini and Paola Natale from the Environmental Education Center of the Cooperativa Terracoste, from the Torino di Sangro town that is here in the Abruzzo region in Italy. They have a long-term experience in managing and realizing environmental education activities, not only at local level, but also at international level through the Erasmus program possibilities, but also through the European network ORA, in which they are also part and active member. Okay, this is my short presentation and introduction. I remind to all of you to take your mic and camera off, and then at the end of the presentation of Paola and Maria Laura, you will have the possibility to make your questions, do your consideration using the chat. The question time will be moderated by my colleague Mario, who will be also in charge for the conclusion. Okay, Maria Laura and Paola, thank you very much, and I give you the floor, and to everybody I also wish to have a good seminar. Thank you. Maria Laura.
Ciao everybody. Hello everybody. Good afternoon. So let's start. Just a little thing. Sorry about my English, because I think that this pandemic month my English got worse. So please forgive if I forgot some verb or some word. Okay. Let's see. Please tell me if you see the presentation.
Yes, you can go with that.
Okay. So here we go. This afternoon, this presentation is about environmental education, of course, and environmental education center in Italy in general, but also in Abruzzo. And then we will get closer to our experience, our planning methodology about projects in environmental education. Okay, don't be afraid about the amount of text you can see on the slide, because this is in order to give you the PDF at the end of the presentation. So don't worry, I will go fast. Okay, what is environmental education? Of course, it's a tool, is an important tool for to improve awareness among citizens, in particular to educate human beings to manage their behavior in relation to ecosystem, to understand the processes at the base of every ecosystem and every environmental process. But if you remember the definition of sustainable development, the aim is to satisfy present needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own. Actually, this is a kind of anthropocentric definition, but in the core of this definition, there is a very clear the connection and in the interconnection between environment, social issues, and economic dynamics. And this interconnection is so important. That's why we is correct to call about to talk about education for sustainable development. That's why in 2015 UN General Assembly adopted the 2030 agenda, which has 17 goals. One of these, the most important for us now, is the quality education and its related targets. In Italy, this agenda, 2030 agenda, was adopted by a resolution by the CIPE, Interministerial Committee, and they worked about a document with six main areas, with particular and characteristic objectives and strategic choices for each of them. In each six areas, we find, as you can read, people, planet, peace, prosperity, partnerships, and vectors of sustainability. In this last area, it's included also education for sustainable development. So it's one of the six main areas of this strategy for sustainable development in Italy. Italy, well, I don't know actually what is the reality in other European countries, but in Italy there's no teaching subject called environmental education in state schools, and this subject is in charge of Ministry of Environment, Ministry of School and University, together with public bodies in general, association, NGOs, cooperatives, etc., but also through the EEC, Environmental Education Centers, spread throughout the national territory. Focusing on Abruzzo. Abruzzo, and environmental education in Abruzzo is regulated by a law, number 102 to 22 of 1999, which created the NFEE system. NFEE is an Italian acronym and stands for Information, Training and Environmental Education, on which the Ministry of Environment worked since 1994. So the NFEE system, all the network, national network of public and private structure called EEC, is quite a young system. I mean, it's not so ancient. So it's quite young discipline. So in Abruzzo, there are a complex network of structure of EE centers. There are 43 EECs in Abruzzo. We can see that later. And how about this EEC? The law defines a kind of standard for each EEC. Standards in activities they need to do, and even equipment the EEC must have. So a kind of standard. So all the environmental educational centers have more or less the same equipment and carry out different education projects, but with the same characteristics. So you can read the two important aims that EEC should follow: to carry out environmental education projects with experience in field, about promotion of didactic and research activities, but also to develop an offer of documentation and information in schools and for all participants. How about the other standard? It's about the equipment. This is written on the law. It is stated on law, by law. An environmental education center must be equipped with staff, dedicated staff, room for a minimum 25 people, library, newspaper library, video library, media library. Of course, multimedia means for the reproduction of sounds and image, workshop and expositive spaces. So these are the all the things that EEC should have. These are some pictures of our room, our EEC. So you can see the newspaper library, even children during a presentation. Okay, and these are the EECs in Abruzzo. We have 43 EEC. These are the environmental education center recognized by law. This is very important because lots of public or private bodies, associations, NGOs can do environmental education, but not only as the recognition, regional recognition by law. In Abruzzo there are 43. 15 in Chieti province. The orange province is Chieti. So Terracoste is in Chieti province, is one of these 15. Let's go further. A few words about our cooperative. Terracoste was founded in 2006 in Torino di Sangro. This name is quite weird or difficult to pronounce even for Italian. Lots of people find very difficult to pronounce this name. I don't know why. Terracoste, which is an ancient name of Lecceto di Torino di Sangro, the regional reserve here in Torino di Sangro. So we choose this name to link our cooperative to the territory. Lots of activities. We do lots of activities. Of course, environmental education project, but even ecotourism routes, historical naturalistic excursions, communication, graphics, topography, GIS, cartography, and last but not least, management of protected areas. Nowadays, we are in Lecceto di Torino di Sangro, and even Lago di Serranella is another regional reserve. Let's go further. We are an EEC since 2012. We have 4 IGAI guides. IGAI is Italian acronym. It stands for Italian Association of Environmental Hiking Guides. As I said before, we managed Lecceto Torino di Sangro for 10 years, and now we are in Serranella WWF Oasis. Of course, we are a member of European network ORA. Okay, now let's go to the core of this part of the presentation. We have half an hour, so we can go slower, I think. Okay. Planning of didactic project. We divided this how to plan a didactic project in 4 elements, 4 steps, or element is better. 4 elements: subject, aims and objectives, structure of the project, and methodology. How about subject? Subject means the issue, the thematic you need to talk about, to develop. These are a list of not all most of the subjects we study and we develop in our project of environmental education in schools, for groups, and in general for participants. The protection of biodiversity, ecosystem and protected areas, natural processes and exploitation of resources, climate change, pollution, policy of waste management, recycling, reuse, management of energy resources, landscape education, critical consumption, sustainable lifestyles, but even slow tourism and sustainable mobility, and food and health education. There are many other subjects, of course. Then when we have the possibility to talk about and have the question time, I'm very curious to add something from you, some idea or some subject you already work on in your centers. How about aims and objectives? Each project needs to have aim and objectives. So why I'm doing this, why I want to develop this particular subject, what are the needs, what are the issues, how many issues linked to this thematic. So I need to follow to achieve an aim and objectives. Aim is something bigger than objective, because I think that for each, this is my personal opinion, for each project, the main purpose of environmental education is to form a critical citizenship. That's why I said before, to grow, to develop awareness about environmental processes, because this is the main purpose. So the aim of all the project is this: to create, to form a critical citizenship. So that's why you can read here, is never completed, achieved, because it's a long process. To form a critical citizenship is a long process, and is made by little and short objectives achieved. Objectives are goals of an educational project, educational intervention, and it's related to that particular project. So, for example, understand the climatic mechanism, or to know some characteristic fauna, some issues about pollinating insects, etc., etc. So the objective is sum achieved with that particular project. The sum of all the projects led to a bigger achievement, and this is the aim of critical citizenship. Structure of the project. This is the third point, the third part of a project. When we talk about structure of the project, we talk about participants. So, who are the participants who our project is addressed? So, the age, primary school, or teenagers, or adults, or families. Type of classes and duration. This means that type of classes, I mean, or hiking routes, so or laboratory in school, or outside in field, etc. Duration, how many appointments? So 1, 2, 3, and the duration: 2 hours, 1 hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, etc. Period, recommended period, I mean the season, so autumn, spring, summer. Costs of the project for participants, and outcome. For outcome, I mean a final work, a final outcome. Sometimes this could be could help the participant to understand and to understand better what I've learned during the project. So it's very important to think about an outcome at the end of the project. 4-point methodology. This is very common. We use this methodology in our network project, in each Aura network project. Non-formal education with the approach of learning by doing. Non-formal education is different from formal education by state school, because there is no teacher and pupils, teacher and students, but is a facilitator who gives participants some information, and together with the participants build a process, build a project, build a result, obtaining also some feedbacks. This is very important. So it's the interconnection between facilitator and participants. So it's a different form of education. of course, the approach learning by doing is
Hey.
Okay.
what's up?
Mami?
Ciao, ciao.
Siguro na ito. Ito interesting ka litrata kasi.
Sono ciao.
There's some. Okay. Can I go? Okay.
Yes, thank you. Yes, yes, please, you can go.
Okay. So these are the 4 points to build environmental education project. But so this is the before part. What we are going to do after, or better to consider before starting a project. There are few elements to consider. Booking procedure, in order to let participants book the project, for instance, the schools and teachers. Preparation of materials and devices, of course, before starting a project in schools, but even in field, in nature. Inspections are necessary to see the place, to see the field, to calculate the time of hiking time, the point of view, and the point where to stop and work, etc. Number of facilitators, of educators, of course, it depends on how many participants there are, and it depends even what kind of activity we are going to do. Alternative activities for disabled, this is very important, but sometimes, especially when we are going to do project in fields, in nature, it's not always possible to think about alternative activities, or better, they can do the same activities. So we can think about activities quite different, but remaining in the field of the subject. Alternative activities in case of rain, the famous plan B. Even in this point, sometimes it's not possible to think about alternative activities, because this activities is planned to be outside. As example, an hiking route with laboratory on field is really impossible to do it with rain, without a building. So it's sometimes schools and teachers and participants decided to give up and wait for a better weather. But we need to think about alternative activities in any case. Useful information and advice before the activity, to give, but also to have from participants. For example, allergies or other problems the participants could have. And finally, we had the COVID-19 protocol, because something has changed during these months. Because, for example, Ministry of Environment and Ministry of Schools decided a maximum number for each facility, number of children for each educator, each facilitator, and depending also by age of children. So this is important, and is strictly connected with the number of facilitators to consider before starting a project. Let's go further. These are brochure about didactic project by our center, Terracoste Center, and these are all our project. You can find it also on our website, and it's are divided into two different types. I mean, percorsi strutturati means structured project. So in classroom with laboratory and with outgoing, and then didactic outgoings. So in nature. If you can, I know you don't know Italian, but most of these subjects are written in the list I read you before. We can translate also in English in the next weeks if you want. This is an interesting slide because we would like to know from you to put yourself to a challenge, to test yourself, try to think of an environmental education issue you care or consider important, or identify a place near you that you would like to make know, to protect, or an environmental issue that deserves attention and critical mass. So just think about one of these 3 points and plan an environmental education project. Of course, it's not you don't need to do this now, of course, but just to imagine or think about the subject you can put you consider important to develop in a project, in an educational project. Okay, let's go. Okay, this is our website, our address, Facebook page. I would like to let me see if I can. Giorgio?
Sì.
I would like to put the video of some photos of our activities, and even Facebook page with all the photos and pictures taken during our activities.
Please, absolutely yes.
Okay, starting with the. I don't know. Can you see this?
We can see now still the last slide of the presentation.
Okay. So I need to close this and then.
Maybe, yeah, try.
Moment. Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if you can see the music also.
No, but normally you can share the audio, but no.
Yes.
I don't know.
No worries. The picture are enough. As I said before to Giorgio, these are very, very few pictures of about our activities. This is very long. It's a long work to put all together. Okay. Okay, thank you.
You mentioned also the Facebook page.
Yes, another problem because I don't know how to do. Okay. Moment. Let's. I don't know how to do. Giorgio, I don't know how to do, actually.
Okay, it was in the link was in the last slide, so everybody will be able to be happy to go on Facebook and also put their like on your page. Okay, I pass the floor to Mario then.
Here I am. Thank you very much, Maria Laura. No.
Now you turn on everything.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Yes. Thank you very much, Maria Laura, for your short but effective speech. Gave us a very nice overview how it's organized in general, the environmental education strategy in Italy and in Abruzzo, and also thanks to the different example of your project and activities, also which are the different, let's say, steps and procedure and what you need to take care while organizing such activities with the public. Can be kids, school, or families. So thank you very much. You mentioned it at the beginning. Of course, we don't know how it works in all the other countries, not only the 6, let's say the 5 plus Italy involved in this specific project. And it's true, this is something that actually we were in habit to do it more often in pre-COVID situation. Let's say that 1.5 years of a pandemic also affected our possibility to share, to know what the rest of organization are realizing. But in a way, through this project, we will also, let's say, try to, let's say, reduce the gap. That's the reason of the next 2 meetings Giorgio was mentioning at the beginning, the seminar that we will have, let's hope, next September in Italy, that want to exactly collect all good experiences and the project and activities realized among the 6 partner countries, exactly to have a common base and knowledge of how environmental education is developed. And that's also the reason of the study visit in UK, where we will have the opportunity, thanks to Urban Organic and its crew, to see on field several projects and activities organized by civil society, communities, and so on. So definitely that was the reason why to start, let's say, with Italy, and during this webinar, exactly to focus on the subject of the project, and then through the other 2 activities, we hope in presence, we will have the opportunity to extend the knowledge and the sharing to the other countries, and then the study visit with the special case study of Blackpool area, Flatwood, through Urban Organic. At the moment, there are no, let's say, question written down in the chat. So I guess it was clear for majority of us. And in any case, as Maria Laura and Giorgio mentioned already, you will receive the PDF presentation in electronic format. So if at the moment there are no questions on this part of the presentation, then Giorgio, if you agree, Maria Laura, if you agree, we could give the floor to Paola. Or
I don't know. I think there is no flow to be given to Paola. If
okay, in the
Paola
meaning
add something, of course, it will be more.
Yeah. I was thinking more if she wanna also add something, because of course the presentation was organized by Paola and Maria Laura together, but I don't know if Paola wanna give some more info. Or wanna share also the other information.
Maria Laura, spegni il microfono. Perfetto.
Posso?
Vai Paola.
Maria Laura, disattiva anche il tuo audio, cioè la tua cassa. Paola, riprova.
Can I?
Yes.
Ok, non sento niente. Hi to everybody. Actually, there's nothing more to add because Maria Laura is the responsible of the EEC, so she's the best person to talk about this topic. What I can add, only that sometimes it seems very easy to work with education with children, but sometimes it's very, very complicated because you always try to let a trace on him to give really something that they can remember, can apply in everyday life, and probably to share with friends and with the family mainly. So it's really complicated to catch their attention too, and to combine the two things to make them interested in what you are giving to them, and at the same time trying to be effective and scientifically precisi, come possiamo dire?
Correct.
And funny. So we can say that we try every day to do our best. And at this moment I was planning an activity for Thursday morning with
very young.
With very young guys. We have this group. It's the second time they come in Leceta di Torino di Sangro in the reserve that someone of you already visit, and it's a private kindergarten, and they decide to spend some of the holiday lesson in the reserve. And for us it's a challenge because generally we work with primary school kids. So in this case it's more complicated because the funny aspect should be bigger, but at the same time you want to give some correct information about animal, environment, and everything. So for me, it's enough. Maria Laura already say everything, and if you want to ask something, you're welcome.
Just maybe if we have 5 minutes more, this could be also interesting. What you were mentioning, Paola, how it's not easy, but also how sometimes activities start by chance, by a new situation that pop up. In fact, there is a question, for instance, from Alan, exactly starting on this element. How do you find new ideas for activities? So sometimes activities can be a direct need of the community, of course, but sometimes happen something that open new door for activities. So I think that the question of Alan is really, how you find new ideas for activities. And I will add the example of Lupopoli, for instance, because yes, eccolo, Lupopoli, vedi? Because I think this is a good example on how new activities, new ideas, new project can start by a new happening. Please. If you want to introduce, or I can do it, but if you want to introduce what is Lupopoli and how it came, this new idea. We cannot hear you, Maria Laura.
No?
Yes.
No, yes. How we find new ideas is, I think this came from our own curiosity about, in order to develop some particular issue and give children new means and new instruments to understand some process. But it starts from our own curiosity. Is a challenge for us. So from the challenge, start a new ideas, new ideas for activities. I don't know what is the process, but I think that the fuel of this engine is the curiosity for each single activity, each single project. That's why for the same project, it depends on participants, it depends on the place. Ideas come out. So this is the answer of your question, Mr. Alfredo.
But then I will mention Lupopoli better, also to let understand the people. In this nature reserve called Leceta di Torino.
I can't hear you, Mario.
Can you hear me? Yes?
Oh, no, because
So in this nature reserve, Leceta di Torino di Sangro is on the coast side. Leceta is a tree, forest that was endemic before. In a moment, couple of persons, Maria Laura, me, and found a strange excrement of animal that don't belong to regular dog. And we call a specialist, and we found out that excrement was belonging to a wolf. And that means that after decades, wolves are back to their territory.
200 years.
After 200 years, almost, wolf is back on his natural territory, where before it was inhabited to live before urbanization and human presence around. So, of course, you can imagine reaction by the community. Someone was excited, someone was scary. And this gave us the opportunity to open on the element of the wolf a huge plan for educational campaign done in different steps with different methodology in order to let people aware that wolf is not the enemy, like in fairy tales of 600 years ago. Actually, opposite, the wolf can be a resource for the ecosystem due to his own particularity and for his own characteristic. And among the different methodology projects and so on, we came out through a specific, let's say, project to realize a table game called Lupopoli. Lupo is wolf in Italian. Lupopoli from Monopoly, from different table games, in which through the game, through the acting, through the playing, you discover characteristic of the wolf. You discover how the wolf is organized in community. You discover how the wolf is moving in its territory. And you discover all that characteristic that usually are unknown, that let you appreciate the wolf instead to be scary or afraid. So thank you, Paola and Maria Laura, for your answer, because in fact, through this example, I think we can complete your answer, because how it started completely by chance. We were at the end of the day after an excursion, and 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and from a small incident, we started.
2015 has been discovered the excrement of the wolf, and then
so it's 6 years ago. Exactly, and Lupopoli and all the other activities are still now part of the educational package, let's say, that the cooperative is offering to school or students or families. So just to say how sometimes curiosity and casuality can give you really an extreme power and energy.
So for instance, about Lupopoli, this is a complete project, because it consists not only of the board game, but also with a brochure with lots of information about scientific information about wolves. Some quiz, some questions, and then we print with a 3D printer. We print the footprint of a wolf, and then with clay we do the footprint of wolf. So this is the brochure with the questions, and the footprints are the outcome I said before. So children with the game, they learn all the dynamics in a pack, in a wolf pack. So how the life of a wolf goes on, and then they take the brochure with all the information they can have, they can save, and the footprint of wolf. So they remember the experience made that day.
Because Ergi was giving a few comments on the chat. Thank you, Ergi. And the question is if there is extra material or sources about this complete package related with the wolf. I guess we have a lot of material, but majority is in Italian, I suppose. But we can investigate, and
for this particular project, Lupopoli al Lupo al Lupo, we have also the English brochure, of course. If you are asking about extra material, I mean website about wolves, about the study of the wolf population in Italy, there are many websites, scientific websites I can suggest you.
In fact,
for Lupopoli al Lupo al Lupo, there is a English brochure, so
super.
We can
collect
absolutely.
We can collect it and share it in the group.
Yeah,
definitely.
Definitely.
Thank you. We will do it as well, Natasha, with some booklet about environmental education that we already produced in the past year. I think you will find that link to this booklet about non-formal education in one of the form we sent you for the preparatory work. I don't know, Giorgio, if you can add here that link for the book on non-formal education, environmental education, that we also add in the preparatory work form. While Giorgio will add the link, Andrea also is, let's say, coming back to the workshop with kids.
Yes.
Asking, you know, which is the best way to interest them, how to catch them, to keep them, let's say, interacting, which is best age to work with, because Montenegro, for instance, Andrea is underlining that sometimes it's very difficult to catch adolescents or young children, children in general, you know, let's say, catched by this kind of, let's say, issue or problems and stuff like that?
Well, each age has its particular intervention. I mean, for small kids, of course, game as the mean to catch their attention. Of course, the issues should be very simple to understand and simple to explain them. But this is could be replied for each age. Of course, when children are when we have to do something with teenagers, their attention, of course, is not so high like primary school students. But they are very attracted by scientific experiments about fauna and dynamics of animals, especially. I noticed this. So if you can catch their attention with this subject, you can also explain some important issues. They can stick in their brain, even for future, even to give this information to their parents, the adults they live with. So this is very important, because there's a kind of detachment from primary school students and teenagers from adults. There's a kind of gap, and it's difficult even for us to fill this gap. But we try to fill the gap each day, even with hiking routes, with environmental routes and hiking out points. I don't know if I answered the.
Yes. It's between children and adolescents with whom it's more easy to work.
Sorry.
Between children and adolescents, with whom it's more easy to work.
Okay, I think this is my personal opinion. Each educator, each facilitator find easier to work with very young people or not. I find it interesting to work with teenagers and yes, teenagers. While Paola, primary, very small children. So we are these two.
No, not too small.
Not too small, of course. From 3 years to 10, and me from 10 to 11. 18.
So
it depends.
It really depends
On our I don't know how to say, the way to approach them with the language, with the subject.
Most important is to work with both category, let's say.
Yes, of course.
Definitely. Thank you, Maria Laura, Paola. Thank you, Andrea, for the question. I think, yeah, more or less we are, and we keep even in track as far as the time is concerning. So if there are no other questions or other input, I will start to say you goodbye, to thank you, all of you, for your presence, for your patience. We hope we got the point and you find it interesting as a first step of this long-term project. As announced before, we will very soon add in the group the PDF presentation by Paola and Maria Laura, and also this more material connected with the wolf situation. So I thanks all of you, and I remind you for the next communication and information related with the project and NFEE that soon will come in order to prepare at the best possible our first activities that will be the seminar in September in Italy. Thank you again, Maria Laura and Paola. Thank you again to all of you to be here. And Giorgio, to you to close.
Yes.
Bye to everybody.
Thank you. I also stop now the recording. Bye-bye.